Hello, I'm Janna, and this is Art at Home, Spiral Q. Today, we're going to make a pop-up book page. Before I start, I want to say that I learned a lot from artist Duncan Birmingham. Check out his work if you want to learn more. We'll have two different versions of today's activity. They use the same materials, but one is a little harder than the other. Here's what you'll need. Paper. Stiffer will work best, but you can do this with regular printer paper too. Glue or tape. Drawing utensils like pencils, pens, and markers. And scissors. For our first example, we'll be making a crowd of protest signs pop up when we open our pages. This is a simpler version. First, we'll take our paper and fold it in half. This will form the page that opens to reveal pop-ups. When making folds, I like to run the back of my fingernail against them to make sure they're crisp. Next, draw our signs. I'm replicating some that Spiral Q's help make for trans rights marches. Varying them in size will give the illusion of depth when they pop up. Just make sure none of them are taller than the page. Now, cut them out. One tip I have is that you might need to reinforce certain pieces to make sure they stand upright, like the flags in my pop-up. I used some toothpicks taped to the backs. This makes the pop-up fold a little less flat, but it keeps the flags upright when we open the page. Next, we make our main joints for the pop-up. Cut out a long rectangle, then fold it in half. Draw a thinner rectangle underneath it. Cut the corners of the smaller rectangle to make tabs. Fold along the center of your rectangles, then fold along the sides of your tabs. Before we attach anything, now's the time to draw on a background on your paper if you want one. I'm drawing a street and the sidewalk. Crease the line between your rectangles, then attach the tabs in a V shape onto the page. The fold making the V shape should be aligned with the fold on our main page. Attach the drawing you made earlier to this paper. Make sure that nothing crosses the folded line of your page and that everything tucks inside when it's folded up. I ended up cutting small pieces of tape to fit in. Try thinking of some fun things you can make with this technique, like a forest, a city, or a parade. For our second pop-up, we'll be using a different folding technique to make a person who extends their arms out as you open the pages. In my case, I'm drawing a puppet. It's really important to see the folds for this method, so I'm going to show how to make it with a blank piece of paper first. First, we start by folding a sheet of paper in half. This will form our main pages that we open and close. There are certain restrictions we have to follow to make sure the pop-up sits inside the paper correctly. First, we should draw two rectangles, with one intersecting the other. On the bottom part of the vertical rectangle, draw two tabs. We'll use these later to attach the pop-up to the page. Here's a quick explanation of how this outline should look. The tabs are outlined in orange. The blue lines show the boundaries of the arms. We can't have them going above or below this. And the yellow lines show where we'll have to make folds. Now, cut out the form. The lines we should be cutting along are shown in red. When folding the angled lines, it's easiest to first fold the paper in half, then fold in both directions. We can bend the paper in the right direction after this. Fold in the tabs too. Push the paper so the two sets of angled folds are pointing out, away from the paper. Again, now would be the time to add in a background before you start attaching everything together. Align the center of your figure with the center of your page to get an idea of where we need to attach the tabs. If you're having trouble pressing any of the pieces together, try using the end of a pen or pencil to press them down. This should be the final result. Now, here's a quick look at how I did this with my puppet pop-up. One tip I have is that if your paper got a bit bent while making your pop-up, you can close your pages and leave them under a heavy book for a bit to help flatten them. Hope you have a fun time trying this at home!